As we're thinking about how finding meaning is not constant, sometimes sometimes you're like, this is it. And then sometimes you're really seeking for it. But then there's this like middle piece that's like meaning neutral. And I actually think those are the most powerful things. I was thinking this morning as I'm packing my daughter's lunch, which I will have to do for the rest, for the next 9 years. So I do it every single morning. And it's a meaning neutral thing. I'm just packing her lunch. But this morning, as I was thinking about making meaning, I was thinking, Rachel, if you think about this as one of the meanings in my life is to be a good mom and to make my daughter strong and make her healthy and make sure that she has a good brain and that she's not hungry, then this thing that I'm doing right now, I become super present in it. And it's not just a task that I have to do. It actually becomes a thing that I'm talking about later in the day as that is a place where I had purpose, where it was tied to something larger than making a sandwich and putting it in a bag. Hello, everyone. I'm Rachel Phillips-Buck, VP for Student Success for Ferris Resources, joined by Mr. Anthony Melchiori. Hello, sir.
Hi, why are you dressed so casually?
I thought I would just take a day off and just kind of dress the way I do when I'm hanging around my house.
Oh, okay. Me too.
Good.
I'm sorry about that. I forgot my suit when I was gallivanting. I can't get home in time, so I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. Well, listen, most of our listeners join us on podcasts, so we could tell them that you are wearing a tux.
Yes, which I am, in a top hat.
Absolutely. You look awesome. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Hi, Brian, Paul. Good to see you guys. Cap and gown. We have a lot to talk about today. Anthony, we are talking about making meaning in hardship, which, sometimes we have, when you and I spend time together, we talk about what we can do for our students. But today we are taking a little moment for ourselves to talk about how tying your work to meaning will make you happier and healthier and more successful at what you're doing. So that's our topic. And I know you'll have a lot to say about that. You guys, please get connected to us. Like I said, I know so many of you join us on podcasts. Thank you for making time, whether you're driving or walking around the track or doing the dishes. Good to spend time with you. I do want to tell you, Anthony, I was on a call yesterday with one of our clients, and I need to give some shout out to Rachel Elam and Shauna Neal on our team, because my client yesterday, they have been working with her, and then I just joined, and she said, Rachel, I just want you to know that Shauna and Rachel are the most fun, patient, kind, encouraging people that I've worked with a lot of companies, and they are always on my team and working really hard to make me successful, which I know, but I'm so glad that everybody else knows as well. So good job, Rachel and Shauna.
Well, it's like when your kids are good kids, when somebody else says it, you're like, oh, that's right.
Yeah,
of course. I expect nothing less from all you guys.
Absolutely. And you know what who the school was?
Iona.
So they're super happy with us. So that's fun.
How'd I guess that?
How did you know?
I just dropped the queen of Iona off at her boyfriend just a little while ago. She, I said she went back for homecoming, and I said, how was it? And she goes, I'm kind of over it, and I graduate now. And I was like, yeah, because you squeezed 4 years of college out like no one. My daughter did college the way college is supposed to be done, apparently.
That's awesome. Like every second, she's getting something out of it, huh?
Absolutely.
That's fun.
And I think she may have learned a couple things.
Yeah, I mean, surely she did. Okay, I have some pictures for you.
Uh-oh.
So
hold on, let me see. I always forget when I post pictures. Oh my God.
No, this one isn't bad. This is like you. So let me describe it. You have what goggles? Are these goggles? What's happening?
Those are goggles to protect me from the blue. Those are actually not a black light. That's a blue light. It's really heavy duty. FBI uses it. And those glasses I borrowed from Elton John.
Yeah, that's what you look like. You look like a rock star. I like this picture. Okay, also you posted this picture, which I need some context about because I don't know what these things are, but they look delicious.
Okay, one is mozzarella surrounded by prosciutto, and the
Okay.
other is gnocchi with some kind of lobster sauce. And the gentleman that I'm hugging is Vince Lombardi, who's been in every TV show you've ever seen.
How awesome. Well,
Did you ever watch? Did you ever watch 24?
yeah.
Do
Well,
you remember the nerdy tech guy that gets killed in a chemical attack?
Oh, yeah. No, I
Yeah,
recognize him.
yeah. And
Are you
he's been in
friends with him or did
Sopranos.
you just see him there?
No, I'm friends with him.
Okay.
And he's been on Sopranos. He's been in everything. He just got a new show with The Rock on NBC apparently.
Cool.
So he was in town shooting with my friend Leo, and he said he had never seen Coney Island before. So I was like, how can you be from the Bronx and never seen Coney Island? So I brought him there, and then I brought him to Rocco's of Rock Beach, which is my favorite Italian restaurant now. And doesn't that like thing in the middle, that mozzarella and the prosciutto, like it looks, everybody thinks it's an egg, and it's not an egg. It's
That's what I
mozzarella with
thought it was. So it's like has a little olive oil drizzled on top
oil.
of it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it looks so good. Well, I'm glad to know what that is. Next time I come to New York, I will have to go there and get that.
Yes.
Okay, now I hope you don't think that I did this on purpose because I did not, but I wanted to talk about your tie because I'm doing an episode today and I couldn't help but notice your tie dimple.
Yes.
Which is impeccable.
Thank you.
You actually have a YouTube tutorial for
Yes.
people who want to learn to tie their tie like that.
That is correct.
My question is, where did you learn to tie a tie, Anthony?
12 o'clock at night, Plaza Hotel, 1991. Security officer standing next to me in the lobby, and I said, "Man, your tie is, amazing. I can't get my tie like that." And he showed me.
And that's where you learned.
That's where I learned. And then after doing it for thousands and thousands and thousands of times, where it used to take me 3, 4, 5, 8 times to get it that perfect, now it's just boom, done. And but if you look at 1,000 pictures online with me wearing a tie, you will never see a crooked dimple.
It is your trademark.
The dimple is important.
Yes. I will tell you that one time at my house, I was in my pajamas. It was early in the morning, and my neighbor, who was probably a 65-year-old man, came over and knocked on our door, and I opened it, and he said, "Rachel, I have a job interview today, and I don't know how to tie a tie. Will you get your husband to tie my tie for me?" And I was like, of course I will do that. It's important to know.
Now, you should have said, "What do I need a husband for? I can do it myself."
I mean, I can tie a tie. That is true. My father did.
But it's just funny how a man said to a woman, "Can you get your husband to tie a tie?"
Get your husband. I think he didn't want me to think he was hitting on me. You know what I mean? I think he was like, "It's fine. Just get your husband.
Okay,
You're in your pajamas. It's fine."
Right. But the tie became my calling card. And this is the first time I've ever done anything in a sweatshirt. So here you go.
No, you're in a tux, Anthony. You're in a tux.
Oh, I'm in a tux. Okay. But now, if you look at the picture you just put up with my dimple, what word looks like it's coming out of my mouth?
I'm sure I don't know what word it looks like is coming out.
It doesn't look like I'm about to say the F word.
You listen, when I tell you which hotel we're doing, you had multiple occasions where I was shocked that you did not use that.
Could you give me a hint? I like when you give me a hint. Give me a hint.
Yes, it is a hotel where it's a mother owner and the son is going to take over.
Oh, Alaska.
Yep. We're going to talk about that one.
Ooh.
Okay. One more interesting thing to show you. This is the text. So, when you aren't on our show, we have guests, and then also sometimes I do it with Matt. This is the text I got from my husband last week when he told my daughter, "Hey, mom's not doing cap and gown with Anthony. She's doing it with Matt." She said, "No offense to Matt, but he's not a movie star like Anthony is. But Matt's steaks are better." But she's never had one of your steaks. So how would she know?
I guarantee you Matt's steaks are better.
Well, she was like, "Sorry, Matt, I don't want to rain on your parade, but definitely not a movie star."
We'll talk about movie stars. As you said that, I don't know if you noticed, but my camera went dark, I think. Yeah. Louis Lombardi, the movie star, was calling me.
How funny. He must, what is it? Your nose is itching or your ears are burning? Ears are burning. Yeah.
Your ears are burning.
Okay, well, it is time for 20 questions, except I only have
Let's
19.
go, man.
All right,
Let's go.
this is Halloween themed.
Uh-oh.
Do you carve or paint pumpkins at your house?
No.
Neither?
We used to.
Did you used to carve them or paint them?
Carve them.
Carve them, okay. Do you prefer a scary costume or a funny costume?
No costume.
Okay. Snickers or Twix?
Twix.
On Halloween night, is your porch or your front light on or off?
Always on.
Okay. Do you like candy corns?
Yes. Dumb question. Sorry.
Do you, do you dress up?
Never.
Never?
I am the least Halloween person you've ever met.
Okay. Are the leaves in New York changing yet?
Yes. Yes. As I'm looking, yes. Beautiful.
Okay. Gummy bears or gummy worms?
No gummy, nothing.
When your girls were little, did they trick or treat?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was the most excited person. When on Thanksgiving, on Halloween, when trick or treating, when my kids were in the throes of it, I was all about Halloween for my kids.
Yeah.
Now my kids are over it. I'm over it.
Yeah. So would you took them trick or treating?
Oh, completely dressed up. Yeah, whatever they want me to dress up in. Yeah, I was everything. Yeah, but that's what for my kids. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's fine.
But you invite me to a Halloween party that I have to wear a costume. Good luck.
You could just dress up like the Hotel Impossible star Anthony Malcurie. My
favorite thing, one of my favorite memories ever, is when a little boy dressed up as Anthony Malcurie and his mother sent it to me.
How fun.
It's happened. It's happened several times with people dressed up as me, and I find that hysterical.
That's awesome. Okay, have you ever bobbed for apples?
Yes.
You have?
Of course.
Is it awful?
Me and my wife just talked about how disgusting that was when we were kids.
Yeah.
When we were kids, yeah, you did it all the time. But now it's like, now no one think about doing that.
In COVID, there's nobody bobbing for apples. There's no way.
No.
Okay, do you watch scary movies during the Halloween time?
No, I have never watched a scary movie in my life.
Yeah,
I hate scary movies.
I don't really watch scary movies either. Have you ever tried Fun Dip?
What is that?
It's like a little envelope of sour powder.
No.
Okay, you should. I don't know if it's really good, but it's like nostalgic.
It's not my thing.
Do you like pumpkin pie?
Oh, I love pumpkin pie.
Okay. Butterfingers or Baby Ruth?
It depends. Those are both very unique experiences. So it depends. But if I had a gun to my head, I said Baby Ruth.
Okay. Did you trick or treat when you were little?
Yes.
Do you like pumpkin spice things?
During the holidays, yes.
Okay. What is your favorite candy?
Oh, it's so funny. I just had both of them. Milky Way dark chocolate and a M&M's with peanuts.
Oh, good. You're like,
and I just had both. I was in a chocolate. I needed some chocolate.
Okay, and the last one is your porch or house decorated for Halloween?
My wife does, yeah, but not like obnoxiously decorated, not like we do for Christmas. It's pumpkins, and we have some flowers, and she has a couple decorations, so very little, but yes, my wife decorates for everything.
I think your wife is a pre-K teacher, right, or a kindergarten teacher?
That is correct.
I think that comes with the territory.
My wife is at our kitchen table making crafts every day, 18 hours a day. for her kids, for the house, now she's knitting blankets for everyone. Yeah, she's always doing something.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Yeah. On Saturday, she cooked, she cleaned, she did a blanket, she did all the crafts, she decorated out the house, she did all the laundry, and I went to the gym and sat and watched sports. And I looked at it, I go, I feel like a loser. And
she's like, but she likes it, right?
Right. And she went bike riding. Yeah. And she's like, yeah. No, you're good.
Wow.
Sorry.
That's good.
She does. She my thing in my house is, before I sit down, is there anything you need me to do? Because once I sit down, I don't get up. But I'll do anything she wants me to do before I sit down.
But once you sit down, it's all over.
That's it.
All right. Well, thanks for playing Halloween 20 questions.
Well, do you like dressing up for Halloween?
I don't like dressing up, but I'm in the same boat, which is like when my daughter wants me to do these things, especially because she's an only child, I'm like her friend, you know what I mean? So I do dress up for Halloween sometimes.
No, but like somebody says, "Hey, we're having a Halloween party. You and your husband dress up as Dracula and Countess." And,
Yeah, we would.
yeah. Okay.
It's not my favorite though.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Okay. So to be clear, you and I will not be throwing a Halloween costume party anytime soon.
That is correct. I'm more of an Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas guy.
Look nice, right? Like I like that. That's right. Good. Okay, so we have to do State of the Union, and then I want to talk about defining meaning making, and then we're going to talk about making meaning, and then as always, action items. But let's start with the State of the Union. So there's some crazy town stuff going on in the State of the Union. First of all, this is related to kind of what's happening in hospitality, which is the institutions from California to Rhode Island are facing struggles finding dining hall workers. So Michigan State just closed to its dining halls because they couldn't find staff, but then they sent out an email to their faculty and staff and invited them to volunteer to come and work at the dining hall. So that specifically during nights and weekends. And everyone on campus was like, hey, I don't know of a faculty or staff member that isn't exhausted, burnout, and struggling with kids, and now they're supposed to go volunteer in the cafeteria. She said it was especially distressing because the university has a $3.4 billion endowment that maybe they could use to draw workers to work the thing. It's funny because Matt and I were saying, like, it would be fun to work in the dining hall with students once or twice, but not when you feel like you're actually filling in because they can't find people to work in the dining hall. So,
well, right. But also with the $3.4 billion endowment, if they start raising the wages to a significant amount to attract people, because you really need a really good wage right now to attract people, the teachers and assistant teachers and the faculty are going to get upset that they're making more an hour than the teachers.
That's right. So then all of a sudden you have to raise everybody's wage and then you use your whole endowment.
Right.
Also, it's interesting, University of Rochester, in the same way, had to close their dining hall. So instead, they, first of all, gave 20% tuition refund to students because they weren't going to be able to eat in the dining hall as often. But then also, they made a partnership with Grubhub, where Grubhub is delivering food and the students are able to pay using their balance from their meal plan. So I think that's a great solution. They're also bringing food trucks to campus to try to solve that problem. So in some ways, schools are kind of outsourcing this whole problem and saying, if we can't find staff to work it, there are other people who can deliver that for us. So,
and you know what they're going to do in 2 years? That's going to be the standard because they're going to find that it's cheaper. That's how kids eat anyway. And the food truck thing is a great solution. And so they're kind of like the hotel business. They're saying we don't have to clean rooms every day now. And it's becoming a long-term decision.
Yeah, that's right. So Brian is saying that, dining halls are a great place to build community, which is why it's important to provide spaces for students to eat together.
I agree.
But we were thinking about even like cooking, like here's a kitchen and here's a space for you to sit around a table together. How powerful that would be to build.
And some, as you know, colleges do that and open up the Grubhub to the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And, and just bring the Grubhub there and almost make the delivery point the cafeteria. That way it forces kids, because the last thing we need right now is kids spending way more time alone in their room.
I know that that's true. Any place that we can get them to be connected is important. Okay. In the same vein, staff shortages are crushing schools. So this is about K-12. So I'm not going to read this whole article. It's a really interesting article, but basically 40% of district leaders and principals in the United States are facing severe or very severe staff shortages. It's things like subpar wages, minimal benefits, tough work environments, pandemic, pressing health concerns. There's just a lot going on in K-12. And you have problems finding bus drivers and janitors and some of those other roles. And what that means is then they're asking teachers to do more than what they're already doing, which pre-pandemic, they had a lot to do. Yeah, they had too much to do. So thinking about how do you solve this problem in K-12 without leaning on your teachers, even more. And higher ed is in the same position. So they're talking about an understaffing epidemic for higher ed. Here's what I think is so interesting about this article. This article is talking about the challenge of recognizing higher ed's endemic understaffing is that we have no good definition of what it means to be understaffed in higher ed because we assume it's normal to work nights and weekends to keep up with the work. We see that our departments, centers, units, and divisions are doing more work now with fewer people. We know that tasks that were once considered entire jobs have been absorbed into existing staff's one of many responsibilities. We don't wonder anymore why we spend so much time on scheduling, logistics, and coordination because we know we're not going to have any administrative support for those things. So it just becomes part of what we do. And we have internalized working so hard that is valuable, that is what we should be doing. So in higher ed, like in so many places, all of those things lead to us just feeling exhausted, but not necessarily articulating that we are understaffed.
Yeah, and I think what happened, at least in the hotel business, was 2008 when the recession hit. Everyone had to do more with less, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, 2008 became normalized we never brought those people back. Same thing's happening in the pandemic. So the pandemic, like the big brands aren't bringing most of their executives back. The hotels have to, because like the teachers, the housekeepers have to clean and the front desk have to check people in. But the administrative work and the other stuff is now getting pawned off on everybody else because they're not bringing people back. So you take 2008 where we really never went back to that level. And then you take the pandemic and we're never going back to that level.
Double down.
And this is where unions are ripe to kind of grow again, because now it's like, no, we won't tolerate it.
Yeah.
You know, we will not tolerate it. And I'll give you an example. I was at a hotel. I was just today, I was there. They reopened this hotel in Manhattan. It was one of my first hotels, and everybody was happy. I mean, the staff loved me. I loved them. Employee of the month, Christmas parties, everybody got along. We raised it to the #1 hotel in New York City, and the union came in anyway. And the employees brought the union in, which was fine. Like, I couldn't say that to the ownership. That was fine, but it was fine with me. And whatever happened, and now they're all still there, and they're all getting pensions. It's wonderful. So me and the guys are joking around, and he said something. He goes, "Remember so-and-so?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, remember when his supervisor, what's her name, gave this person the day off and took my day off or whatever?" I said, "I don't know." He goes, "Yeah, that's why I brought the union in." So he caught himself, and I looked at him and go, "So you brought the union in." We started laughing and joking. We started laughing and joking. And the reason I brought that up is because one little staff change, even with a great general manager who today he hugs and kisses me like I'm his father.
Yeah.
And he's older than me, actually. And he loves me, and we're close as could be. We're close with the whole staff. That one little schedule change is like, nope, not tolerating that. So that's what's going to happen. And I think rightfully so, because it's very, very difficult to find people. And like you said, I don't think people are getting how people need to work today. And I also we talk about this on my show all the time. Where all these people go?
I don't know. Where do they go? That's a really good question.
It's like the aliens like snatched them up.
I don't know where they're going. It's really interesting.
I have no idea. You know what? But I always had this fantasy that aliens put dogs here to get all the knowledge of humans. Yeah. And the dogs are feeding the aliens all the information. So maybe you should ask the dogs. Maybe they know.
I will go talk to my dogs and say, "Hey, do you guys know where all the workers are going?" Okay, so one other thing that I want to talk about in State of the Union is how students are getting mentors and how they're making connections with mentors. So there was just a survey done by Student Voice in September, 2,000 sophomores, juniors, and seniors asking about, do you have a mentor and how did you find them? So students who graduate from private high schools or attend private colleges and legacy students are most likely to report having a mentor. 1 in 5 students without a mentor says that's so because they don't have access to a formal mentoring program. So mentoring is strange to me because it used to be kind of this idea that you would just find a person like, "Hey, I really like you, faculty member," or, "Hey, I really like you, staff member, will you mentor me?" But really what the survey is saying is we have to have clear channels for students to be able to get connected with people who will mentor them. And one of the reasons why that is so important is because students who are lower income students or who maybe are first generation students, they don't necessarily think of finding a mentor as a good way to get ahead. What they've been told for so many years is just keep your head down and do good work. You don't need a connection. You don't need to talk to people. You just do what you do and then you'll get ahead. And so they don't know how to make those mentor connections. And so they really are disadvantaged in that process. And there's a lot of evidence that mentors are helping students craft their goals, have a career objective, just make a plan for the future. And yet we don't have clear channels for students to be connected.
I bet you any university that says our number one priority is to come up with the best mentoring program in the nation, that school will then elevate itself when it comes to academic achievement or getting and finding jobs. I just got a letter. I've gotten plenty of letters where people say, do you remember me? I got a letter last night in my DM from one of my social media channels, and I was doing a speaking gig, and it's not even a college student. It was a young lady who just graduated college, and she was struggling with this new job or whatever. And I gave her my phone number, and we talked probably for like, I don't know, 6 months, maybe 8 times. And she's married. She got promoted in her job that we talked about her taking. Anyway, and she literally said, the only reason I'm doing as well as I'm doing is because of you. And that's not true, but it was beautiful to hear. And so mentoring has become my passion. And that's all I care about, really, is I'll do anything. Matter of fact, she goes, I don't know if we have it in the budget for you to come to this university, whatever. I said, she goes, I know you're expensive. I said, whatever your budget is what it's going to cost to get me to that university.
That's
and,
awesome.
and that to me, that's everything. I mean, what else are we doing? I mean, you have so much experience and I have so much experience. When we're dead, we're taking it with us. So if we could leave some of those seeds on the earth, that would be great.
Yeah, it's funny, Anthony, last week I talked about the 6 experiences that a student has to have on campus to lead, not just to like get a good job, but to lead a satisfied, well-being life after they graduate. And mentorship was one of those things that it just is so helpful moving forward for a student to have an older person speaking into their life.
Right. And mentorship doesn't have to be every week or every month or every day. It has to be, here's my number. This is the bat phone. Right. This is consider this your bat phone. You press the button. I'm on the other end. I see your name. No matter what I'm doing, I call and I take the call. And it could be 10 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. I'm here. That to me is kind of the way I do it. It's like, hey, man, I'm here. You call me, I answer. Doesn't mean we have to talk every day. Doesn't mean I have the time to talk every day.
Right.
And I'm not, and then I'm not always looking to be your friend. I'm not always looking to like bring you into my life and all
for dinner. Yeah. Right.
I don't have that kind of time. But I am always here to guide you into the right direction. And if you take my advice, you take my advice. Like I walk into hotels and they're like, oh, you're the best, Joe, man, you're the best this, you're the best that. But when I worked there, people like thought I was crazy. But they remember what they remember is, and somebody said to me today, is you were one of us. You cared. And that to me is what a mentor does. A mentor could have high standards and really push people, but you have to truly care.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Well, I want to do a shout out to Dominican University, which is one of our clients there in Chicago. They were just named number 10 out of 160 schools in the Midwest. Also ranked number 1 as the best value in Illinois, number 6 as the best undergraduate teaching. But here's the most important thing. They were recognized as number 1 in the Chicago area and number 3 in the Midwest in the survey's social mobility category, which means how well a school is serving as an engine of mobility by moving economically disadvantaged students, specifically Pell Grant recipients, up the economic ladder. So they have a long history of first generation students, low income, immigrant students. Half of their undergraduate population is first generation and 54% are Pell Grant recipients. They have partnered with all of these different programs. So the one goal, two and through, which is they went back, talk about upstream thinking. They went back to high school students and were like, we have to do a better job of educating and getting these students shored up so they can come to college and be successful. They also gave us a shout out. So they use us for their coordinated alert system to do surveys to make sure that they're connecting with students who are struggling. They have a village, which is a whole mentorship. I mean, I cannot tell you all of the things that Dr. Price is doing in order to make this school a place where you.
And what school is this?
It's Dominican University. It's in Chicago. Wow. But those schools that take students that have some form of disadvantage and shore them up so that they can be successful and reach the summit is amazing. So yeah, great job.
It's not only amazing, it should be in their charter. It should be what they live for. It should be like the classroom and the education is a small part, as we said before, of your college experience. Yeah. You know, there's so many people reaching out to me. It's like, hey, my son, my daughter, they can't find a gig. And these are people that, you know, that have means, but it's hard to get in. And like I tell my kids all the time, it's part of college is one thing. Connections is another thing. Yeah. And, you know, people say, oh, well, you know, people are connected to get jobs. Well, yeah. So you need to take people who are not connected and get them connected to the right people. And 99% of the people that have those connections not only will be happy to do it, they will be more than happy. They will be thrilled to make it. I get so excited every time I make that connection and somebody's driving across country tomorrow to Vegas because I got them a job with their father, got a car, got an apartment, and is working at one of the best hotels in the country. And I changed somebody's life just by a suggestion. And that to me is what I get out of bed for.
Yeah, that's your mentoring. And it's a really lovely dovetail into this idea of making meaning, because what you're saying is like, I've assessed what am I passionate about and what is most important to me. And that's where I'm investing my time. And I wanted to talk to you about this today because I am meeting with schools all the time. I'm meeting with people on schools all the time where they are getting burnout. They're feeling demoralized. They're feeling overwhelmed. I feel like in the beginning, it was like, wow, this is hard, but we're doing a hard thing. And now it's turned into something really different. It's like this glazed look on their face where they're just like traumatized.
There's no team. Before it was like, all right, I'm part of the team. I'm pulling my weight. Now it's like team. What's team? Like, I don't care. Like it's like if somebody's on a desert island and they're like, well, I have no money in the bank. And the guy goes, I have no food and water. You really worried about money in the bank? It's like, it's that thing. It's like, there's no sense of team. Like I can't even breathe. And you're thinking about the team. Like I'm done. Like I'm physically and mentally exhausted. I can't even think about the team.
That's exactly right. So as I'm doing a study on kind of making meaning in your life, this idea that, so it's an antidote to demoralization. Remembering what you're passionate about and what is important to you is a way that we can come back to purpose, because this like dead zombie existence where you just are overwhelmed and exhausted is not a way to live. It is not a meaningful way to live. And I understand we're all tired, but
you think it's temporary? You think a lot of it is temporary? Or you think it's longer than just short term?
I think it is. I do think it's temporary. I'm just thinking in terms of how many days or how many semesters or how many months do you live in that place of a lack of happiness and joy in your life?
Wasted days.
Wasted days. So, okay, first of all, meaning, let me define that. When we're talking about that, we're saying this is a primary component for how people find happiness. A life devoid of meaning, a life disconnected, it's very hard to be happy, right? Because you're just doing things. There's not a connection to a bigger thing. It's just, you're just walking through and doing this and having this meeting and then typing this thing and taking this phone call. You don't have this connection to something bigger. I want to ask you about this one. So the truth about meaning is that it's not always fun. this is the idea that we are developing our best self even when it's hard. And I was thinking, Anthony, about how at the beginning of the pandemic, you and I were talking, and you just kept saying like, hey, I want to be proud of myself when this is over. I want to be proud of
Yeah.
myself
Wow.
in the pandemic, right?
Wow. I remember that. Yeah.
So what I love about that is you making meaning of a really hard thing. You saying, this is going to be a trial and it's going to be really difficult, but it is meaningful because when I look back, even if it wasn't fun, I will have developed my character, done things I'm proud of, stayed the course, done important work. I love that.
Yeah. I've forgotten that we talked about that. But yeah, exactly. And I think that is clearly important. And you said you build character even in the hard times. I think you build character in the hard times.
Absolutely.
I think that's where I think that's where you build, like, heroes need a moment.
Right.
No hero, oh, that guy's a hero. What did he do? He walked across the street. A hero needs a moment
where
right?
You're like, I'm not sure I can do this, right? Like, I'm
right.
not actually sure that I'm going to be able to make this.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, to build character, you need a moment. You need lots of moments. You need that heart. I was talking to one of my daughters and I was like, after this situation, there's going to be another. Okay. You've got to find happiness with life.
Yeah.
Because once something is like, there's never, you never glide. Life, like
Right.
how often in your life have you just glided?
Yeah, never. I mean, what I think is so interesting about that is in all the literature about making meaning in your life, one of the things they say is that it's never constant, right? So that it's like you have these moments that are like intensely meaningful. Like, this is what I'm doing and I'm doing an awesome job. I was thinking about when Ferris started in the beginning, and it's just me and Matt, and we have like 2 clients and we don't have a lot of money, but it's meaningful work. And every day we're coming to work and we're like, we're building a thing and it's going to change people's lives and it's going to help students. Right. And that is a moment where you're like, I'm doing it. Like, I am in it right now. Right.
Because you want to do it.
Yeah. Right. And it's important. It gives us meaning. But then sometimes you have experiences where you're like, I would love to have some meaning applied to what I'm doing right now, because really, I feel like I just in the desert, right? Like, yeah. I don't know why I'm doing what I'm doing.
I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I was telling them a moment in my younger life where I disappointed myself. And when everybody like found out, and they were like, well, you must have wanted to work harder because, everybody was cool that you made a mistake. I was like, no. Like, what do you mean? Didn't you want to kind of pay that? I said, no. Like, so you didn't like feel. I said, no, I appreciate and respected that they saw me as a person that just made a mistake. But you didn't want to work hard for them? I said, no. And they're like, and I never thought that until yesterday when I was having this conversation. And they're like, why? And I said, because I work so damn hard already that I can't work any harder. I can't try to prove myself anymore because I already do.
You're like, that's it.
For me. Like, I do it for me. So if I work for someone, I'm going to work so hard for me that you're the last person I'm worried about. Because my number one priority is not to disappoint you. Right. So I got to look inside myself and not worry about what you're thinking of me or how much you want from me. Because when I think in those terms, like they want more from me, they expect more from me, I burn out. Like, I'm done. Like, I got to go. Like it's too much pressure for me. Yeah. The pressure I put on myself is so intense that like, if you like try to put more pressure on me, that would do the opposite of how my brain works. So I think what you were saying is the passion and the finding hope and getting out of this malaise that you're in, or grind that you're in, or this that you don't have hope. You have to find that. The only place you will ever find it is in yourself.
That's exactly right, which is fun. I knew you would have so much to say about meaning. So this book that I'm reading about meaning is like, hey, you have to remember that is in you. It is not a thing you can be separated from because it is in you. So you might lose sight of it, or you might not pay attention to it, or you might be so overwhelmed that you forget to be present. But it is not a thing that you can lose because it is intrinsic. It is you saying, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. right?
Because if it's not, and if it's not made, and someone else controls your meaning, right?
Right.
So if you're looking for meaning outside of yourself, then when you're not really sure what you're working for, that other person will explain to you what you're working for and
Right.
tell you what you're working for.
Right.
And that to me is when people get into these jobs and careers that which I was in. I love my career. I've never had a day where I didn't like my career, but people were telling me what was meaningful. To
Right.
this day, people tell me what's meaningful, what I should do in my life. It's like I love seeing people's faces when I say I'm semi-retired. I'm not semi-retired, but I love saying that to people. It's like,
Yeah.
so what are you doing? I'm semi-retired. It shuts them up. It's like, because what do you want me to tell you? I'm working on a show. I got more clients. I'm doing speaking engagements. I'm doing all that stuff. But that's what you want me to do. You want me to go. You want to judge me by
Right.
me pecking off of list of the things that I do on a daily basis to make you feel or good or bad about yourself. So how about I just say I'm semi-retired and you figure it out?
And you could figure out another way to judge me, right?
Yeah.
Um, I really like that because as we're thinking about how finding meaning is not constant, sometimes like sometimes you're like, this is it. And then sometimes you're really seeking for it. But then there's this like middle piece that's like meaning neutral. And I actually think those are the most powerful things. I was thinking this morning as I'm packing my daughter's lunch, which I will have to do for the rest, for the next 9 years. So I do it every single morning and it's a meaning neutral thing. I'm just packing her lunch. But this morning, as I was thinking about making meaning, I was thinking, Rachel, if you think about this as one of the meanings in my life is to be a good mom and to make my daughter strong and make her healthy and make sure that she has a good brain and that she's not hungry, then this thing that I'm doing right now, I become super present in it. And it's not just a task that I have to do. It actually becomes a thing that I'm talking about later in the day as that is a place where I had purpose, where it was tied to something larger than making a sandwich and putting it in a bag for my.
You're getting me emotional because in my 56 years on Earth, I've never thought about meaning as neutral, right? Until this morning, and I didn't have the words to explain it until you just said it. Because I was driving it was pouring bad this morning. My daughter has to take 2 buses to get into the city. And usually I take her to the bus stop, wait for the bus, and she gets on, and she takes the express bus into work on 77th and Madison. It's a long drive. It's 2 hours every morning, express bus, 2 hours to get to work.
Wow.
And so it's a long day for the kids. So I'm like, I'll take you into work, which sometimes I do. And she's like, no, Dad, you're going to be driving me later. You're going to be picking me up. It's only half a day because I'm working overtime. You're not driving me. And I was like, okay. And I just kept on driving and I drove her. And to me, that was like, this is meaning for me, but it's meaning neutral. I'm trying to get you there on time. I don't want you to be overly stimulated. I don't want you to be exhausted. I don't want you to be whatever. And you're already working long hours. You're working overtime. You're doing a great job. I actually got a note from her boss today saying I should be very proud of my daughter. And so I did not cry when I got it. Yes, I did. And my point being is that those are the moments that neutral meaning, is that what you called it? Neutral
Yeah.
meaning?
Yeah.
I thought that was so, I'm going to remember that because those are not only the most important, those are the most often.
Right.
Those are the things that we're doing the most often. The 99% of what I do, no one ever sees, except my family.
That's right.
Right.
So
And even
when
sometimes they don't even see it.
So when you tie it to something that is real, that is purposeful, that you remind yourself, I am doing this because I love my daughter and I want her to be happy and healthy and I want to be a great dad. And I was thinking about in this book, one of the things that they suggest to find your meaning, which they talk about is like your connection to a bigger thing, a larger purpose, right? Is to write about how you would like your grandchildren to remember you. And so, Anthony, if you think about that, like your daughter's kids being like, we hear stories all the time, Granddad, about how you used to drive Mom to the city when it was raining because you wanted her to be successful. And then that's what happened, right?
No, the stories they're going to get told is the only time I ever disciplined one of my daughters, which is true because she's such a good kid. And I had her, this is how she tells the story at dinner. Dad, remember when you had me standing out in the rain outside the car and wouldn't let me back in the car for no reason? No, I do remember when I asked you to stand outside the car while I'm pumping gas because you were fighting with your sister, and we were both under cover of the gas tanks, and you weren't getting wet. And she goes, "That's not true. That's the gas station across the
Oh
street
my
from the church."
goodness.
I was like, "Babe, every gas station today has to have a fire sprinkler system. So they have to have a cover. Most of them have a cover over them. So the story you're telling is fun because it was raining out, but you didn't get wet."
But it's not true. I'm really sorry. That's a good story, but no, that is not the truth. Okay, so I want to talk about this idea of engaging with something larger, because that is what we're talking about with meaning. And there's 3 ways that you engage with something larger. Again, something larger is in you. You can't get away from it, but you have to be actively engaging it, because otherwise you are just making lunch or you are just driving your daughter to work and you're not like, hey, here's why. Here's the reason I'm doing this. So
I'm so lucky to be making my daughter lunch. I am so lucky to be driving. My daughter, my friend's daughter is having some medical issues, and I'm just there by the grace of God. Go, it's like, so I was happy to drive her because I know my friend would love to be able to drive his daughter to school.
Well, it's really interesting you say that because, Matt's son is a senior. He's about to go to high school. So we're all living vicariously through college. He's about to go to college. We're all living vicariously through the senior year, and this kid that we all love is going to go away. And so I did think this morning, okay, well, I have 9 years to make this kid's lunch and then she's going to go. So I better just every morning be thankful that I get to do it, because eventually I'm going to look back and think, I got to make her lunch every single day.
Right. and she's going to remember. Listen, my daughter's 22 years old. They're almost gone. They're almost out of the house. They're going to couple 3-5 years. They're going to, like, I'll get the grandkids and I'll see them once a week or once a month. Yeah. So I even to this day, like I this morning I drove one of my daughters to her job at 6:30 a.m. I drove my other daughter, and then I'm actually, after this, I'm going to drive to Manhattanville to watch my daughter play volleyball. And she yelled at me to not drive because it's going to be a thunderstorm tonight. And I said, okay, I won't come. Don't worry. I'm shutting off my Life 360 and I'm driving up there and surprising her. And in between, I'm running my business and I'm having phone calls and I'm getting emails and I'm writing a speaking gig thing that I'm doing on Thursday. And I'm doing everything I need to be doing. Yeah. But everything comes secondary to my obligations to my
your
kids.
Purpose, like your real purpose in life, right? The thing that when your grandkids are like, this is what I knew about dad or granddad, do you want it to be he ran a great business and he was on TV? Or do you want it to be like he loved my mom and he took good care of her and he's around for his family, he provided for his family?
And I just said my obligations to my kids, but you said it better. You said what did you say? You said
grandchildren.
No, but I said my obligations to them, and you used a different word than obligations. You used my passion or whatever.
Your purpose. I mean, it's your purpose.
My purpose, right? My purpose, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I would say to our listeners, you have to reconnect and re-engage with this something larger than you. There are 3 things to look for. There's ambitious goals. So I want to accomplish a thing. I do the work that I do with higher education because I want students' lives to be changed. I want them to be successful. I want to change their family tree. That is meaningful to me. So when I'm doing work and I'm meeting with a client and I'm talking to them about, if you will do this, we will find the students who are struggling. We will make sure they have someone on their team and we'll solve problems for them. That's not just a meeting I'm doing. That's actually connected to something meaningful, a higher purpose that is really important to me, right? Also, we talk about service to the divine. So if you think about my purpose is to be like Jesus, or my purpose is to be the way that God wants me to be. A lot of times people are finding calling and purpose in that piece. And then the last one is in relationships, which is what we've been talking about with family. I want to be a great mom. I want to raise my daughter to make an impact on the world and to be happy and healthy and successful. And so those are the 3 places where you can remember what is inside you that drives you, that gives you purpose, that gives you this calling and this meaning, that then is going to make everything so much more powerful because it's not just a meeting or a lunch or a car ride, right?
And just be like we talked before, it's like, be grateful for that car, be grateful for that car ride, be grateful for whatever you're doing, be grateful for it because it would be taken away. We're here for a split second.
Right.
And, as we get older, we realize a split second, we're done. And when we're done, we're done. How many people have we known? Like Colin Powell, one of my heroes. I love the man, right? The only person I've ever asked for an autograph. And he's done.
Right.
Done. Jackie Onassis, when she died, I was like, Jackie Onassis, all her money, all her power, she knows every doctor in New York. She's done. And then guess what? Everybody went to work the next morning.
Right.
And everybody fed their family, and everybody went to school, and it was over. It's done. This world doesn't stop because the Hotel Impossible guy's dead. And I think that as you get older, you really realize that everything has to have meaning. The COVID, like I just got my booster shot, and somebody said, "Oh my God, you're like a pincushion. You'll get every shot they'll give you." I was like, you know what? I'm done with the pandemic. I am done with wearing masks. Right. So now I got a booster. Okay. So now if you want me to wear a mask when I walk in your store, I will wear one. But if I have the choice, I'm not wearing one because I have 3 shots in me. So I'm taking, so I feel better, and I'm grateful that I can get the shot. And if you don't want to, that's fine. Everything that I do is because I know this could be over tomorrow, and I'm going to live in gratefulness.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I appreciate that. Okay, well, I want to talk about this hotel, Anthony. Listen, we don't have that much time left.
Okay, you talk too much.
This hotel is so crazy town. This is one of my colleagues' favorite ones.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you for a second.
Okay.
The best scene in the history of television, not Hotel Impossible, of television, of live television, happened on this show, and like it gets no respect.
Oh, is this with with Lane? No,
this is when the big glacier fell on.
That was horrible. Okay, let me set it up. So this is season 3, episode 4, Alaska Heavyweight. This is Alaska Hotel in Juneau. Betty Adams owns the hotel and has owned it for 40 years. Whatever. The hotel is the oldest hotel in Alaska. It is at sea level, but this mountain behind it is 6,000 feet high, which is amazing. It's like the backdrop of this hotel is incredible.
A bear walked into the hotel the day before we walked in.
I have that.
Yeah, there you go.
A bear walked into the hotel the day before. The inside is really lovely. So it's on the National Historic Register. Like, it's a really amazing, the bar is gorgeous. Like, it's a beautiful hotel. Betty owns it. This, Anthony, there were like 4 times in the show where I thought you were going to lose it, but you didn't. Any time you did not lose it. Good work. So the first one is when you said to her, like, hey, so do you know your numbers? What's your average daily rate? What's your occupancy? And she's like, I don't know. You probably know more about my business than I do. And you were like, hold on, is that okay with you? And she's like, yeah. And you're like, okay, that's a problem. This is mostly a watch Anthony's face episode. So if you're joining us podcast, you should go see it because it is hilarious. What I wanted to say about her is that if we're talking about the meaning of life, you remember you said, why are you doing this job? And she's like, I'm the director. Like, I don't really want to make money. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to like make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, which she wasn't doing a great job. But you said, hey, Betty, I think the meaning for you in this hotel is making it the jewel of Juneau and keeping it alive and making sure that people can continue to come to this hotel because they have been for 100 years. To which she all of a sudden, it like changed her perspective on what she was doing. She was like, oh, that is actually an important thing to be doing, right? That was crazy too.
Not only an important thing to be doing, it really was, as you said, is like people lose their purpose. That really was her purpose.
Yeah. Okay. Another person, meaning of life. This is Scott Fry. I'm just going to tell those of you who cannot see this picture, think about what a general manager should be wearing. He's wearing not that.
He's wearing a dirty white shirt with an old like cheap looking leather vest that a biker that really can't afford a nice vest would wear.
Yeah, exactly. What's interesting is he had been at this hotel for 20 years, and you said, tell me what your job is. And you want to talk about a lack of purpose. He said, my job is to keep everyone in line. The employees are babies, the guests are monkeys. I don't know what an average daily rate is. I'm not driving revenue. I basically am here to break up fights and try to keep everything. He does not have a purpose. And you could tell because he did not have any pride in his work. He was walking around like a zombie. Like, here's 50 things that need to be fixed. And he's just like not present.
Listen, he got free beer, a free place to hang out with his friends, and he played music in the bar. And he got paid to like, he got paid to just like, you know, to just, you know, make sure things didn't burn to the ground.
What I would say about that is it's not good living. It's not good living to not be connected to purpose. This is another time where I thought you were going to kill him. Somebody called, you answered, said, can I please put you on hold for a second? And then you said to him, hey, this person wants to change their reservation. And he got on the phone and said, can you call back in 5 minutes? To which you, I think I have reactions of that. You were like, whatever your face did, he was like, or I could just take care of it now.
Because he saw my face. He turned around and I remember he goes, I can call you back. I can take care of it.
I could just take care of it now. But he's not thinking, like, he's not in the purpose of let's keep this hotel as an amazing place where people can. He's not. He's just like walking zombie.
When you look at the faces that you took pictures of, I've never seen these pictures snap like this, but the one I love the most is the one on the top left, the first one, because this is what I'm thinking at that moment. I'm thinking, God, you hear? God, you hear, right? Okay. I have 2 decisions to make. 1, snap his neck, or 2, be a gentleman and a professional. All right, professional it is. But like, and that's the moment. And every time I do any of these shows, is like I'm literally on the fence, and I'm about to go to one side of the fence and the other, and that's the second that I either find the Lord or I don't.
Well, you do. I mean, I know that's true. You like go internally and you're like, who do I want to be in this moment? Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
I'm going to be the right person. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So he doesn't have purpose. We have the bar manager, Lane, who the first thing he says to you is, I don't like your show and I don't like your style. Right. And you're like, okay. He's just very combative, but
okay. So go ahead. I'll tell you the
no. Go ahead.
So I get on set, we're doing what we're doing, and I'm running around and like, listen, if you see the bar manager, you can't talk to him because he didn't sign the paperwork, because you have to sign the paperwork to be allowed to be on TV. I was like, okay. They're like, but we would really like you to try to get him. But I said, he has to sign the paperwork. He said, yeah, we're going to try to get him to sign the paperwork, but like, he is a very interesting character because, my producers go before I do and they figure it out, but I don't know anything. So I was like, whatever. So I'm done. Like, the night's over. I flew in, I filmed, and like, if people who know me know when I'm done, it's hard done. It's not like, okay, one more minute. It's like, I'm done. I'm not kidding. I'm done. So I'm done. So as I'm walking out and I'm going back to my hotel room, they said the bar manager's at the front door. I said, well, he didn't sign the paperwork and I'm done, so I don't care. So I'm walking out, and as I'm walking out, he says that to me I went up to him and said, oh, you're the bar manager.
Yeah.
As I'm walking out, I said, you know what, let me just say something. So I said, are you the bar manager? He goes, yeah, whatever. I don't like you. I don't like your show. But let me tell, and he was pretty much kind of like squaring up on me.
He was super aggressive. Yeah.
I've learned the most valuable lesson I've ever learned in that scene. If you look at my hands in the top left picture, my hands are in my pockets.
Yeah.
I really thought he was going to swing at me. Now, as I'm sitting there and I'm really trying to be calm, I'm literally in my head saying, this guy's going to hit me. And my hands are in my pockets. So now, anytime I was in a confrontation after that, my hands are always over my face, like I'm talking like an Italian. Hey, man, I understand that you don't really like me, whatever. So my hand's always up in case the guy swings at me. So when I look at that, I was like, if that guy hit me, I'd have been out.
There's no recovery.
I would have been knocked out on national television.
Oh gosh, Anthony. Well, this guy is a fascinating person, but
That's one word.
Yeah, I want to talk about his purpose, because later you bring a bar guy in and they're like, hey, they're pouring 3 to 4 times a shot. They're over pouring, right? And he's like, hey, the reason I do this work is because I want to party with my friends. I want all my friends to come. They're going to come and drink with me. That's the reason I'm doing this work. He's not on board. He's not like, hey, we're losing money. He's not anything about actual meaning. He's just saying, you can fire me because all I want to do is have a party, right?
No. Not only you can fire me, your business will be out of business because I am the greatest human being that's ever lived. And you bozos don't know how to run anything. And if you remember in the show, we went undercover and we showed all the mistakes. We showed how they're overpouring and how they're not putting all the money in the register. And we showed everything undercover.
Yeah, that's right. So everyone should watch the show. It's crazy. That guy is crazy town. But the guy in the show who, although he was a little eccentric and he said a lot of words when he didn't need to, right? But I will say, Anthony, he believed in this hotel. Like, he wrote a book about it. He had all these ideas to which you had to stand and listen to them. I think I have another, Anthony, like, this is you trying very hard to pay attention to everything he was saying, even though it was
so you picked up that I was dying inside?
Yeah.
Did you pick that up?
I did.
I was literally dying inside. I remember that moment.
Get to the part where you say something helpful. But he was like, this is what he said. He said, I believe this hotel is the single most important thing anyone in my family has ever done. You want to talk about tying that back to purpose and meaning. Like, this guy at least is like, I want to make it amazing and I'm going to work really hard to do that. He did not take your advice about like, settle down with your mom.
No, there's 2 words. One I can't remember, but the one more that I think about every time I hear it, I think of him: a meritocracy.
Yeah.
He must have said meritocracy like 10 times, and then he said, "Who's the guy with the stone up the hill?" What was? Yeah. And like I was just like, and I just remember standing there and going, "Dude." And then there was a scene. Tell me when I said what I said, you weren't thinking the same thing. When I said to the manager, I said, don't you, like, he's a nice guy, don't you wish he would use a lot less words? And the manager starts laughing. Weren't you as an audience member saying, Anthony, tell him to use regular words? Can you please
interrupt and tell him to speak English? You were nice to him. You're like, I know you're really smart, but also people like us just want you to say what you have to say. Like, can you just say a thing? Right. You also did this in the meeting with his mom where you were like, hey, say what you mean and stop saying all this stuff. And he was really pointed and you were like, this was a great family therapist. You did a great job, Anthony. I also have a reaction.
Great moment.
Yeah. I also have your reaction.
I was so proud of myself. I was proud of myself.
When they hug at the end and you were like, that was close. That was really close. I thought we were going to come to blows.
But that's that's the purity of this show. Like, those moments aren't prepackaged. Those are like, my heart is pounding out of my chest. Although it seems I'm composed and I'm professional and I'm very thought out and I'm very lucid and I'm all those things. But inside, I'm like,
there's a lot
I'm doing my best work. And if my best work doesn't work, like we lose it. We lose the show. We lose the hotel. And so when that happens, I'm like, because when he was going on and on and on, and I was like, dude, say what you have to say. And then he bangs the table and goes, you can't run this hotel or something, right?
He said, this hotel, in order to be successful, needs your absence.
Your absence. Oh my God. Like, who would say that? Like, if I said to you, like, if you and I were working together, I'd be like, Rachel, you got to get the hell out of my way because I can't deal with you.
Right.
Like, this hotel to work needs your absence. What are you, king?
Yeah, I will say that was the most relieved I have ever seen you look on Hotel Impossible. It was like all of the pressure of like, I just need them to get along. And then they hugged and it was like, woo, Whew, okay, that did not backfire. So good work.
There was two moments in my career on this show. One, that moment, and there was one in the Pennsylvania show outside of Penn State where I remember falling, literally collapsing on the floor because we got the bank to give us another 6 months. But those two moments were as real as they come.
Yeah, that's great. So as you said, Blanche did a great job. The rooms were gorgeous. She did have a thing fall on her and she bruised her cheek and it was awful. It was scary for everybody.
Come on. Can I tell you how freaking ridiculously we laughed? We played that on a loop. I am telling you, no less than 100 times. We were in the room that night, all of us, looping that over and over. And as we were drinking more and more, and we were laughing more and more. And it was, to this day, I will literally fall off a chair, because to set it up, since you don't have the clip, to set it up, I'm upstairs because I did what I had to do. Now I just go hide. And I had a brand new iPad and I'm watching a video, whatever, I'm trying to zone out. And all of a sudden everybody knows that, hey man, my team's important to me. Blanche got hurt. So I literally throw the iPad across the room, fly over, almost fall down the stairs, get downstairs, and I see, what happened. People explain to me. But to see it on the loop, there's this thing that we want to have like an Instagram moment. So she had the sculptor sculpt an igloo. And the igloo is made out of foam. So it's kind of lightweight, but it's not like a pound. Right. It's probably like 20, 30 pounds. Anyway, but it could have been hundreds of pounds. So Blanche, being Blanche, is trying to help the two guys take this thing off the truck. And as she's doing it, the two guys lose grip of it. And it literally smashes her like your hand smashes a bug. and then you lose her. You don't know where she is. Yeah. And she's under this structure. So watching that on the loop is like, you think she's dead. But if you go back and watch it, I want you to go back and watch it. I have a producer. Her name was Teresa. She looks like olive oil from Popeye. She very thin. She has a hair, and she sees her fall and collapse. And now she's the producer in charge, or assistant producer. She walks by her like this and does nothing. It's hysterical. It's hysterical.
All right, I'm gonna have to go revisit this.
Oh my God, I think that's the funniest scene in Hotel Impossible history.
Well, I'm glad she was okay. It was very scary.
Maybe. Oh no, she could have got, if that was heavy, she'd have been dead.
Yeah, I think it's funny because she said, you're like, what were you doing? And she's like, well, it was obvious it was going to be too heavy for them. So I decided to, and you're like, no, can you not? That's not your job.
Right. Didn't it look like a dad was scolding his daughter?
What were you thinking, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay, listen, meaning of life, things that diminish meaning, significant loss, isolation, feeling helpless, feeling like you're a walking dead, and a loss of joy, which, let's just be honest, a lot of people have been experiencing. So I'm thinking about how we articulate the meaning of our life and how it makes small things, how it gives us life, how it brings back why we're doing what we're doing and how those things are important. Because even meaningless things, even meaning neutral things can, when they're connected to your purpose, become more powerful. So here are my action items for everybody. Please remind yourself of what the something larger in your life. Remember, that's relationships, that's goals, that's spiritual disciplines. What is the larger thing in your life that you maybe have not been engaging with that you need to? I talked about writing your life summary from your grandkids' perspective. Also, just thinking about a time when you experienced intense sense of meaning. What were you doing when you were like, I'm in it right now. This is the thing that I want to be doing. It's so important to me. Those will help remind you of what that larger thing in your life. And then also, you guys remember how your connection to something larger has empowered you in COVID? So here's the sentence. This is what I think is really important. What did you leverage to survive? It can be COVID or it can be any difficult thing, because meaning is not made by the terrible experience, but instead by the way that you survived the terrible experience. So even though I couldn't control the last 20 months or whatever that thing is that was really difficult for you, I managed to, what's your survival tactic? And then what are the resources you used to grow stronger? And after that, I could What was your win? What did you gain? What was your insight? Using that language will then reconnect us with this larger thing and give us meaning, which will make our lives much more purposeful.
Yeah, and as a professional counselor and a teacher and an advisor, what do you think? I know we got to go, but what do you think the long-term effects of this is on all of us? Because we're all walking around like things are kind of normal. Even the Walking Dead are walking around like things are normal, and people aren't picking up on it because people don't give a crap. So they're just walking past the Walking Dead because they have their own problems. What is the long-term effect of this? Like, because I've been putting a lot of thought into that.
Well, I mean, I'd like to hear what you have to say. I
don't know.
I think it goes both ways, right? Like, I think in some ways we say, it's like we've been talking about kintsugi, like when things break, you have the opportunity to say, I want to craft my life differently. These things are not working for me. I want to have flexibility in my work. I want to spend more time with my family. Man, Matt and I were saying today, he's like, I want to make friends. I haven't made new friends in a long time. These are things that we now recognize as really important to our mental health, right?
It's critical. And, it's hard for Matt to make friends.
Sorry, I teed. Man, I teed. Sorry.
I'm your friend. I'm your friend, Matt. Well, I said the other day I was playing softball and I got into an argument with my good friend, and I said to him, we're in the car, I'm driving home, or we're driving to dinner after the game, and I was pissed. I was ripping pissed. And so as I'm calming down and he's kind of like apologizing, I said, listen, you got to understand something. I'm too old to make new friends. So like, I can't let you go. So I'm never going to not be your friend, but like, don't make it so difficult.
I'm committed to you, but listen, we got to get some things worked out.
Yeah, I'm committed to you because I have no choice because old men can't make friends.
You can't make old friends. That's right. All right, you guys, I want to encourage you to remember the meaning and to reconnect with it because it will make your experience, your daily experience, so much better. And I think we need it. I think we all need that reminder of why we do what we do. So,
and what was the word you said before? Normal value? What was it?
Neutral meaning.
All right, send that text to me. I want to text that to me.
Okay.
Because I am just finding like neutral meaning to me scares me because I sometimes get bored. I'm very like I get bored easily, and it's hard for me to find meaning in that neutral part of life where it's just that day to day. So neutral meaning is, I think, is really what we're all striving for, right? We're all striving to just kind of not every day be in this struggle or be in this really high because the high is a low. It's just neutral, being content. I remember Billy Joel, somebody said, are you happy? He goes, no. He goes, are you sad? No, I'm content. And I think that's neutral meaning. And it's not always good, but like when you're there, you got to just honor it, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's right. When you're there, you have to honor it. That's right. All right, friends. Thank you for spending time with me. Good to see you. Have a great day. All right. We'll see you later. Bye.
Always a pleasure.